So today we begin simply by pointing out the obvious. Our Minnesota Timberwolves at this point, absolutely without a doubt, need to go all in on a point guard. However, head coach Chris Finch seems to be a little bit confused, at least in my opinion, about what's actually truly wrong with this Minnesota Timberwolves team at this point, which has lost 4 games in a row. Welcome back to the Timberwolves Digest. As always, North America, I'm Dave Dabbah, and I bring you daily Minnesota Timberwolves news, trade reports, trade rumors, and of course, a whole lot of commentary. On today's show, we are going to talk about Chris Finch. I also want to talk about several Chicago Bulls point guards / guards that would be a good fit for the Minnesota Timberwolves to actually go ahead and trade for. A huge show for you today. Now, if you are new to the Timberwolves Digest, please go ahead and subscribe. Now, over the last couple months, we've certainly had several discussions revolving around one Coby White, and I just wanted to put up for you all the last 4 games that Coby White has played, so you can see from a statistical perspective what you could actually expect to get from Coby White, who, of course, would be a starter for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. You would take Donte DiVincenzo and put him back to the bench, which would certainly help the Timberwolves from a bench scoring perspective. Love to get your thoughts and opinions on Coby White. We're going to talk more about Coby and Tre Jones in just a little bit, but I did want to also bring up one thing about this guy, and this guy is, of course, head coach Chris Finch, who at this point seems to be a little bit wrong about what he's actually thinks is wrong with this Timberwolves team at this point. He said in last night's press conference, "We've lost our defensive personality." And I have to say, in looking and watching last night's game, while the defense did fall asleep a couple times down the stretch, the true issue that this Timberwolves team had last night and has had throughout this season can best be summarized in the following statistic, which is clutch minutes turnovers. Now, the T-Wolves have the highest turnover rate in the National Basketball Association at this point so far this season. 17.6% is the Timberwolves turnover rate. To say that we might have some issues on defense with defensive personality is one thing, but when we actually dive into the statistics, which in this case don't lie, if you watched any of the game last night, and specifically the last 5 minutes of the game, you, like me, would have seen the Timberwolves turn over the ball a significant amount of time down the stretch. If you really want to know why we've lost 4 games in a row, this is the statistic to actually point to. But before we dive into today's Timberwolves news, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. Download Kalshi by using the link below and enter code DIGESTNBA, and you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the U.S. On the platform, you can trade yes or no on real-time events like sports, elections, news, and pretty much anything. And whether you're in California or Texas or anywhere else in the country, Kalshi is now available in all 50 states for sports fans. Trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Personally, I see real value in the Timberwolves winning 55-plus games. Remember, they won 56 games last season. So look, Kalshi is generally a smarter way to use your sports or news knowledge. And of course, you can close positions whenever you want. Download Kalshi with the link in the description. Don't forget to use code DIGESTNBA to get your $20 bonus. Once again, I want to thank Kalshi for sponsoring today's video. So I thought this was a good comment here from Timberwolves Talk. That's another really bad loss. Something needs to change. Outside of Naz Reid, the Wolves aren't getting any offense production from their bench on a nightly basis, which takes me back to this point. The Timberwolves at this point clearly need to find a starting point guard so that they can shift Donte DiVincenzo back to the bench at this point. I think that would certainly be a big move for the Timberwolves to make. Now, one of the options we talked about a little bit yesterday, and after watching Tre Jones play, I have to say I really do love his game. This is what Tre Jones has actually done so far throughout his career. He's actually been in the NBA longer than this, but I just wanted to give you all a snapshot of what Tre has actually done over the past couple of years. And watching him last night play and watching him take on the defense, in particular Rudy Gobert down the stretch, just tells you everything you need to know about the kid having some heart. And from an offensive perspective, I think he's a little bit more of a true point guard than a Coby White is, though I do believe Coby White has a higher ceiling, at least from a scoring perspective and an overall guard perspective. But Tre Jones is going to cost you less than Coby White. Coby White's currently making just north of $12 million a year, and Tre is making $8 million, or at least so that's what it averages out to. Speaking of last night, taking a look at our overall team performance, you can see that Julius had a big night. Ant-Man was off, specifically from the three-point arc. And when that actually happens to this Timberwolves team, it often leads to a team that struggles to score. But once again, last night's issues can all be pointed back, if you will, to this statistic, which was, if you look at the last couple minutes of the game and you count how many times the Timberwolves had the ball and then actually count how many times they actually turned it over. I counted they turned the ball over in 3 straight possessions at one point during the last 2 minutes of the game. Yes, Chris Finch, defensive personality may be an issue, but your real issue at this point is this. And the best way to solve that is to actually make a move for a guard at this point, which would then allow you to shift Donte DiVincenzo back to the bench, which is probably where he belongs at this point. Love to get all of your thoughts and opinions. Thanks so much for tuning into the Timberwolves Digest. As always, I'm Dabbah, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.